Hey everyone, welcome to another emulation video. This one is going to be on the PSX emulator called DuckStation. This is a PS1 emulator. If you guys are interested in getting that set up, go ahead and follow the link that I put on the description. It's simply going to take you to duckstation.org. What we're going to do here is there is two files. To play it safe, you might want to go ahead and just download both the BC ++RT and the button that says download duck. The one on the right is an emulator. Once you've downloaded both of those files, you can go ahead and close your browser and just go ahead and go to the download station, or the downloads folder, that is, and go to your downloads folder. And we are going to double click on this. If you already have it installed, you're going to see this window here that says modify setup. So if you see that, you do not need to install the VC redistributable file. So you can just go ahead and close that. And obviously, if you do need them and they're not installed, it will continue to install. So once you've done that, you can just go ahead and go to the emulator file you just downloaded, unzip that, put that in a folder. Once you have that extracted to a location of your choice, you can go ahead and just maneuver to that folder. And we're going to go ahead and get this started. So you're going to see something like this. So you're simply going to go ahead and click on the executable file here. Once you get that started, obviously you never had that. So this is going to be your default window. So I kind of erase my settings so I can go ahead and show you how to do this. So you're going to see this. So the first thing you're going to do is go ahead and add a game directory. So you're going to go ahead and go to where you have your games installed. So you're basically just going to point, to the folder that has it. And you're going to add that to the, section here. So in my case, I'm going to go to where I have them inside. And then once you've selected the folder that has the games inside, you're going to go ahead and click select folder. Now you want to make sure that the folders are, basically with the images of the games themselves. If you have a zip file, I don't believe it'll read the zip file. So you want to make sure they're extracted into folders, with the files inside. So once you've done that, once you've selected the folder that has the game folders inside, go ahead and click select folder. And it's going to ask you if you want to scan it, and you want to tell it yes on this part here. And as you can see, it loaded the games right away. Once that's done, we can go into the basic settings. Now, quick notes here. Whenever you guys want to check for the latest version, you can just go ahead here, click check for updates, and it will tell you if you are running the latest version. If you're not, it'll give you the option to go ahead and just download the new one. So once that's done, we're going to go through the basics here. So we're going to go ahead and click on system. As you can see, it's already, got the games showing up correctly on here. So what I would recommend you do, if you do have a lot of games, you can actually go, and do, the configs per each game. So you can have different settings for each game. What I'm going to do here is show you how to do it both ways. So the global way would be to go ahead and click on the system folder here. And we are going to go to system. So actually not system settings. We're going to click on settings. We're going to set up the BIOS. Now for obvious reasons, I cannot, put a download link to the BIOS itself, but that's easily, able to be found online. So then what you're going to do is tell it to look for the BIOS file. Now, once you install this, it is going to make an automatic install for you here in the location that is here. So wherever you put the BIOS file, you're going to go ahead and want to go to that. And just kind of basically the same thing you did before. Just go ahead and point to where the, where the BIOS file is at. So since I already had this installed, it did have this location on here. So I'm telling it, the BIOS file is in there. I'm going to select the folder, and now it's going to look inside that folder for the BIOS whenever the emulator starts. Console, these are pretty much things, you can leave alone. There's really not much, point in messing with these. Emulation part of it, you can go ahead and kind of look through it. Now, I like to always, enable the vertical sync. That's going to stop the game from, doing that tearing effect when you're playing. So like I said, I recommend you leave that on. Rewinding, if you want to enable that, you can just go on here, and that'll actually allow you to rewind the game back to a certain spot. I never use that because it's basically the save states take care of that, because you can just pop back to where you made your last saved. Memory cards here. Now the game will pretty much do this on its own. There is a more advanced feature in this where you can go ahead and make changes to the cards. For the meantime, I would just leave that alone, and you can kind of mess with that later once you become a lot more familiar with the emulator itself. Now here's the important part, the graphics. So right here you're gonna choose whatever render you want to use. So you can have the choice, between whatever your video card can handle. So I chose to do the Direct 3D 12. Let me go ahead for the hell of it and do the Vulkan. Vulkan is supposed to be the best one. Now your adapter is automatically going to be set to default. So the only way you need to go in here is if you have, two different adapters. For the most part, you're going to have the ones you can leave it at default. And you'll know if you click on here and you see more than 2 graphics, then you'll know, you can make a choice. If you just see the default and the one, default is basically going to point to the one you're looking at there anyway. And right here, the resolution for this can be changed right here. Now I'm going to leave it at 1080p for the purpose of the video. You can choose to downsample here if you wanted to. Texture filtering. Normally I just leave that on bilinear. And again, you can choose whatever you want. Aspect ratio you can change here. I like to do the 16:9 because I'm going to set the option for that, in a minute, where you can go widescreen. That I leave as is. There's the scaling again by linear smooth. True color and rendering. Now this you might want to put on if you have a better computer. This is actually going to make the the warping that you see in the original PS games, where the graphics looks like they're shifting. This will kind of minimize that. So if you can, go ahead and leave that checked. You can force the 4:3, which is a standard resolution for the movies, or you can just uncheck it and it'll go widescreen for you. Disable interlacing is check. Widescreen rendering, you do want that on if you've picked the 16:9 over here. Smoothing you can always leave on. This one's not recommended, so I just leave that alone. Now this one here is for the effects. Now I like using this in conjunction with the reshade. So I did pick the dolphin one here, but you can go ahead and pick whatever you choose. You can actually click on add here, and it'll show you all the ones that are available on here. And you can kind of experiment, and pick the one that works the best for you. Another good one is the scan lines. But like I said, you can just go ahead and do whatever you want as far as the post processors on here. You can actually combine them also. So if you wanted to add 2 of them, you could just put that on there. My preference is I like to use that XBR because like I said, I use the reshade in conjunction with this. So, as you play around with it, you want to add or remove, you can just, highlight the one you want to remove or add, and just click on the corresponding button. If you want to clear them all completely, just hit clear. Audio, the fastest one should be the QB, so that's the one that's, used the most. You can leave that to default. So these I pretty much wouldn't play around with. That I would pretty much leave alone. Achievements you can enable. Even the emulator says it's not recommended. So unless you really want that, just leave that as is. Now on this spot here, this is always something I say on the emulation videos. I haven't done it to this, but I will later. The norm that I like to do is always point away from the folder that has the emulator installed if you have it installed on your root drive. And the reason I say that is if for any reason your computer crashes, your main hard drive crashes, and you've played a ton of games and have a lot of save files, then they're going to be lost because you're not going to be able to retrieve them. So what I like to do is just go ahead and put a different folder here on the backup drive. Create a folder. Then what you can do is just browse to that folder. You can name it PS1 save states or whatever it is. Once you've created that folder in your backup drive or your secondary drive, you can just hit the browse button and go to that folder. That way, if anything does happen where you lose your main drive, you will have that backup of the saved files, in a separate directory, so you won't lose those. Advanced, I do not mess with, so that I just leave alone. So once we're done with that, we can just go ahead and hit close. And we're going to go ahead and launch this. And like I said, this does have the XBR Dolphin filter, so that should apply correctly. I do have a saved game from earlier, so I'm just going to go ahead and load that, and that should load the game right up. So as you can see, that looks pretty good the way it is. Now the way this looks now, where it kind of looks a little bit warpy, that is actually negated with the R shade with the reshade filter, with the classic CRT filter. So I'll go ahead and jump out of that, and we'll show you how to do that in a little bit if you're interested in that. Or like I said, you can just use the regular scan lines, and go with the filters that are, included with the game. So I'm going to go back in here. Now what I'm going to do is show you, if you have a ton of games and you want to do specific settings for games, what you're going to do is actually click on the game itself. You are going to pick properties. And there's other different things you can do on here, but we're not gonna, not get into those. So go ahead and right click on it, properties. And then once you're going to go on there, you're going to see this menu come up again. So then what's going to happen is these are going to be set per the game. So this will not be like a global setting. It'll just, change the settings for that game itself. Or you can actually start the game itself, which might be a safer way, and then hit the escape key. And I believe this is how you do it per game. Yeah, it's this way. So this way you basically go into game properties, and now you have your settings up here. And these are basically just for the game that's loaded on the screen. So negate what I said earlier, you want to do it this way. And this is how you can get in here and change the settings per the game itself, and not, load it globally. So as a matter of fact, what I'm going to do here, let me go ahead and I'm going to change this to the DirectX 12, DirectX 12, and that one should load the reshade, as you can see, because that's the one I had it under. And now you can see the difference with the XBR being loaded along with the reshade. As you can see, that does look way smoother now than just the XBR filter on by itself. So with that CRT filter, it does make the game look super smooth and look way better with that XBR filter. And if you're interested in the reshade, I do have a video on how to use that. So that one comes in really handy, because especially if you like to do a lot of, like make the games look old school, like, they did back in the 90s or, 2000s, you'll be able to go ahead and pick from a whole slew of textures and add them to the game. So like I said, for me, this is the one that I like to use the best. Cool thing with reshade, it's got a ton of different features that you can use. It has a built-in frame skipper. You can go in there and change the brightness, contrast settings, and things of that nature. So definitely a beneficial program. If you if you are a retro gamer, you definitely want to go ahead and check out the video on that. I'll more than likely just go ahead and put a link to it at the end of this video, so you can click on that if you want to know how to use that, if you haven't already seen the reshade video. All right, my friends, that is it for this one. That'll get you to how to use the emulator. And actually, one more thing, I will show you how to set up the joysticks, which for the most part, if you have a compatible, like a PlayStation joystick or an Xbox joystick, it should configure it automatically. If it does not and you have issues, just go to settings, and you're going to go to controllers. And then right here, it basically has all the options that you have here. You have your hotkeys. I have the controller set up, so it already found it. So as you can see, the settings are already there. Now, if you get to this and you get to here and you do not see the settings, you're basically just going to click on each one independently and just hit the corresponding button on your joystick. And as you can see, it will change the settings for you. So you have your D-pad, the left analog, which is here, right analog over here. And you have your L1, L2 buttons, R2, R1 buttons here. And basically everything you need is right here. So that's pretty simple. So if it does not set up the joystick for you clearly on its own, you can go ahead and do it this way. And now we are done. So if you make use of this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Please do subscribe if you can, because there's, over 30,000 hits, and I only have like 100 something subscribers. So it'll really help me out if you guys, look at the videos and do hit that subscribe button for me. That way you guys can be informed when new videos come up. So that is all. We will see you guys on the next video. Have a good one.